a Queens by the Minute exclusive.
Thanks so much, Stanley. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because it is right across the street from a public school. And I was a public school teacher for 25 years before I got elected to the city council. And it's my hope that the kids from the school, like I used to do, take them and walk them around the neighborhood and teach them a little bit about the history of the neighborhood and who was here and who did work in the community. And it's my hope that the kids from 149 will come out and see the sign up there, and somebody will say, you know who she was, and do you know what she did here in this community? And a person who can tell us a lot about what she did also serves on the board of the North. Judy Grubin is here to talk a little bit about what Mary meant to her.
Mary V. was my friend. I knew Mary for over 40 years. We would talk on the phone for hours and hours, and she would go over all her ideas as to what she wanted to do for Jackson Heights, East Elmhurst, and North Corona. Once she got all those ideas straightened in her head, she would call the elected officials. That's why we have the NORC, the Southridge, the Blue Lane, and the Northridge co-ops, because of John Sabini. If it wasn't for John, we wouldn't have had NORC. So we're 160 years and older. You are really so happy to have had this. He even got us the van, which we didn't have totally, but we had the van. Mary was a very diversified person. She liked to read all the time, and she made sure that everyone else would read with her. She would go down to the Strand bookstore and buy books. She would go to Barnes and Nobles. I have books piled high on my tables in the living room because Mary said we have to read. In fact, my husband was given a book on General Patton, 800 pages. I think it took him years to read, but he told Mary it was wonderful, it was great, it was terrific. Mary was interested in architecture. She belonged to a group in Manhattan and would tour the whole city. People had to know Mary for herself. Even though she was so involved with the community, she had a personality all her own. She was good. If you got sick, she brought you a cake from a box. She never made anything herself. It was always from a box. But that was Mary. She gave my grandchildren diaper bags, which everyone is talking about. Mary was a unique individual. I spoke to her the day before she passed. She couldn't hold the phone. The person who was taking care of her held the phone. I used to bring her soup and coffee. That was the only things that Mary could eat at the time. I would really, truly miss her. Thank you.
Judy mentions the North as well, and John Sabini was so vital in establishing the North here. Let's give John a round of applause for doing that. And now that the burden of it is falling on my shoulders, and Mary was always sure to remind me, and one of the last conversations that I had with Mary is that I had better get that money, because I think the year that we were facing that huge cut when it was wiped out completely was the year that the last time I think I spoke to her. So we've been successful in that, so Mary's legacy lives on in the North as well. And now I'd like to ask Sandy Myers from Self-Help North to come up and say a few words.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here today. So again, as the councilor mentioned, my name is Sandy Myers and I'm honored to represent Self-Help Community Services today. On behalf of my colleagues who are joining here today, Sherry and Mohini and Justine, who many of you know, could not be here today, we are just so privileged to be able to honor the legacy of Mary. Without her, it goes without saying that we really would not have had the North. And Self-Help is honored to be serving older adults throughout New York City for 80 years, but really in Jackson Heights for the last 15. And without Mary's hard work and support, we wouldn't be here. And we're really, again, honored to be able to continue her legacy and continue to provide services. So thank you for having us here today. Thank you to the council member and our elected officials for their work to make this happen. Thank you again.
Before I bring Charlie up to say a few words, let me just express some thank yous to John Meladonis, the president of the Brulene Co-op. John, thank you for all you did for hooking us up with electricity and for working with us and making sure that this happened. I really appreciate it. Jerry Young from the Brewing Co-op is organizing the refreshments. Everybody's invited to come back to the north, around the other side, to come in and have some refreshments in honor of Mary. Of course, to Sandy Myers, to Mohini Mishra from Self-Help as well, to my staff, to Sebastian McGuire, who actually wrote the legislation. Let's give him a round of applause. To Jonathan, where are you? Jonathan Martinez over there, thank you very much. To Jacqueline Postman. Jacqueline, are you here? Right, over here, there's Jacqueline. And to Keegan Lee, who's over here as well. And of course to my chief of staff, Carl and Ilya Cardoso, and Michael Mound as well. And finally, to just say thank you to everybody on Community Board 3 and to the New York City Department of Transportation for all that they did to make today possible. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to Mary's son, Charlie Vavruska, who's been joined here today by his son, Charlie.
I want to thank the City Council, and especially Councilmember Drum, for getting this legislation passed to honor my mother. I want to thank Joni Cabanos for conceiving of this idea, and for her and Judy Grubin for spearheading it, getting it through. I'd like to thank the Brewing Co-op for honoring my mother again today, and as they've done in the past, for her and my father. But I especially want to thank the people of Jackson Heights, because Mary loved Jackson Heights. When I was sending out some emails last week to tell people about this event, somebody sent me back an email and they said, "What did your mother do to receive such an honor?" And I simply sent back, "My mother was a great community leader who always fought to make Jackson Heights a better place." And that's what she did. Whether she was on the community board, the Jackson Heights Development Corporation, whether she was with Blessed Sacrament Church, with the Kahila, with the schools, I can go on and on, the Chamber of Commerce, but she was always involved in working with the community. And she did love Jackson Heights. And when I was growing up, a lot of people were leaving Jackson Heights. They didn't want to stay. But my mother would tell people, Jackson Heights is a great place. She'd tell people, she told you, she told people, don't leave, it's a great place. We'll work to make it better. If there's a problem, we'll fight that problem. We'll make Jackson Heights a better place. And that's what she kept right on doing. I remember when I was about 6 years old, my father's job was transferred from Canal Street to New Jersey. And I remember somebody coming up to my parents. I was young, I didn't really know what was going on. But they said to my parents, "So I guess you're moving now?" And my parents looked at them like they were nuts. And they said, "No." And every day, my father would drive from Jackson Heights to Bedminster, New Jersey. He was driving out to New Jersey when all the cars on the other side were coming from New Jersey into New York City. And at night, he would drive back to Jackson Heights when everybody was driving the other way. But when my father knew that those people on the other side of the road didn't, they were going the wrong direction. And in those days when I was growing up, it seemed like my mother was always at a meeting. Every night it seemed like. And when she wasn't at a meeting, believe me, the phone was ringing off the hook for people that needed help. And she was always there to help them. Because, there's some things that you do. When she was responsible, she did a lot of things. She did the precinct. She was responsible for Louis Armstrong School. But sometimes in your life, when you need somebody to guide you, when you have a problem, you need that help. That's much more important to you than any airline terminal, any precinct, or any school. You just need that help. And people out here, you know what I'm talking about. When somebody gives you that help, it really means a lot and will get you on the next step. But it wasn't just with the community that my mother helped people. As people said before, when people moved into the Brulee, she was the first person at that door with a kid. When somebody was sick, she was the first person bringing them some homemade soup. She remembered everybody. She remembered graduation and everything, because that's the way my mother was. She was always thinking about helping other people, in her personal life and her public life. And it's great today. It's an honor that we're honoring my mother with Mary Vavruska Way. And it's a geographic term. But I hope when people walk by here and they look up at that sign and see Mary Vavruska Way, I hope they think about it another way. I hope they can get from that some inspiration to live their life the Mary Vavruska way. Because if we all did just a little bit do what she did, Jackson Heights and New York City will be a much better place. Thank you very much.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's okay, that's why we brought the ladder. Back up. I'll get in your back. I know, no problem.
Get his face, get his face.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today.